What up, friends? Geoff Fienberg back with you for another edition of PGA Tour Picks for oddschecker.com/US. If you didn't see it already, myself and Rick Gaiman at Rick Run Good on Twitter put out our 3M Open preview. I gave 5 outright selections in that preview. Go check it out. Having a great time doing these with Rick. I plan on continuing to do them in the future. Show the support to Rick and I by smashing that like button. It'd go a long way to helping me if you smashed it here as well. So I gave 5 outright selections yesterday. Actually, I gave 4 of them and told you there was a decision to be made. But if not only you watched the video, you saw below, I listed the picks, documented. I made the move on Bubba Watson. I took that 40-1 yesterday. It is now dropped to 35. It feels like the exact same bet, to be perfectly honest. Nothing would change me from 40 to 35. As I discussed with Rick, there's a tough decision. There are players that I believe in. Emiliano Grillo, Mav McNeely. Maybe for you, it's Cameron Tringali, Hank Lebioda, even the guy I like to call a brick shithouse, Patton Kazire. A lot of guys I believe are really on the cusp of getting to that finish line in a big way. But I just couldn't, I don't know. I just decided I'm going to take Bubba at this number. I really do like what I'm seeing from Bubba right now. I think he's on a fantastic trajectory. And if I have to pick a guy over 40 years old who's already won a major to have another great moment, I don't want to say to like that Phil level, but maybe so. I believe it's Bubba Watson. The way he has conquered his battles with anxiety and mental health, he seems like he's in an absolute fantastic place. Really cratered down the stretch at the Travelers and was right in there again, I want to say, at Rocket Mortgage. And after both of those losses and hearing him speak, both on, I believe, radio and television, he just made reference to getting those feelings back, how great it felt to contend. That's what it is about. You just show up, you contend, and hopefully good things can happen from there. And like I heard Phil Mickelson say a few years ago when he found himself in a little bit of a drought, that he's found himself contending on the back nine on Sundays for the first time in a while, and he was getting nervous. It was a weird feeling for such an accomplished player. And Bubba kind of acknowledged having those same feelings. So being that much more ready to contend, I'm looking forward to Bubba this week. I will acknowledge that the reason I like Bubba and feel like he's kind of been to the wall a couple times and been let down recently has him more prepared for this week. I'm a bit concerned. I did back Fowler again. Yes, if you watched the video yesterday, while he has been playing cleaner, nicer golf, there hasn't been a moment where Ricky actually contended and felt that sort of pressure. So I would feel nervous about that. Because even my guy Luke List has been close to the finish line 2 straight weeks. Didn't work out for him, but I'm a believer that these guys learn from those experiences. Even Tony Finau, who though I didn't bet, I'm rooting for this week. Okay, let's get into it. Prop picks from me. Listen, there's no way I can embarrass myself any more than I did last week. I don't need to discuss it. I've discussed it on every single platform I've spoken on and will continue to speak on. Kudos, credit, props to everybody who had the courage to ignore all the variables and back Colin Morikawa last week at the Open Championship. Chris Kirk plus 275 for the top 20. I'd even consider the top 10 if you got the courage. He's a guy I considered to win this week, Chris Kirk. I love his iron play. He keeps it clean. Hopefully he can get hot with the putter. I do worry what I believe is fantastic short game can be a bit negated this week, as if you got to rely on your short game, you're probably not going to find yourself in contention at all. You know, other than those clutch moments on the weekend, you need that big par save, keep momentum, get momentum. You know how it is. But Chris Kirk, when the going was going tough for me early in the year, the most reliable thing I had were those Chris Kirk props. And I'm going back to the well with Chris Kirk, who's showing the signs again of really nice iron play. That has been the staple of the victors here in years past. So give me Chris Kirk plus 275 to give me exactly what I'm expecting from Chris Kirk, which is to play very well and not win. If he wins, I'd have to get over it. I'd be a bit sad, but I'd be so happy for him. Haven't bet him to win in a while, so I don't know, how hard I could take missing out on that outright win, because it has been a while since I think we actually put him out to win. But Chris Kirk, T20, on that odds checker grid comes in at plus 275, as low as 230. I'm going to just run off a couple more here quickly for you. I'm back in EVR. Eric Von Royen, plus 500 on DraftKings for the top 20. Mentioned it a few times. EVR was such a popular play last year here that ended in an epic failure. He might have even been going off in that 35-40 to 1 range for the outright, the Minnesota Golden Gopher or Minnesota State. Either way, same narrative applies. Big bounce back, in my opinion, this year from EVR. People really do seem to have a horrible taste in their mouth for him. There's a lot of water here, and there's a good chance he catches a landmine, but I'm betting that he doesn't. EVR on the T20 plus 500, and I even have a plus 130 to 1 small outright sprinkle on EVR this week. Sam Ryder plus 600 on DraftKings. When looking at that grid, came second place last week at the Barbasol. Well, I guess third place, missed out on the playoff, but a stroke out of that playoff was Sam Ryder. He is starting to, he played really well at the beginning of the year, had a bit of a total fall off, but we are returning to seeing the things we really do like about Sam Ryder. And that's the reason I'm going to back him this week at plus 600. Form player, seems to be finding that form. As I mentioned, a shot off being in the playoff last week at the Barbasol, and had some nice rounds at the John Deere. So I'm seeing what I want to see from Sam Ryder. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he takes his name onto the leaderboard into the weekend here in Minnesota. Bo Hostler, plus 600 on that odds checker grid, as low as plus 350. That 600 comes in over at FanDuel using that odds checker grid. Pat Mayo likes to make fun of me all the time for how much I like Bo Hostler, even when I don't even bet Bo Hostler or bring up Bo Hostler, because historically he hasn't really been good. In fact, he hasn't been good forever since Ian Poulter stole his soul in Houston a week before the Masters 2 or 3 years ago. That being said, he continues to be one of the more consistent players on tour at the moment in these types of fields. So we're right back at it, an opportunity again. Bo Hostler, I'm expecting him to catch that T20 plus 600. And a couple head-to-heads quickly, then we are done. Emiliano Grillo, wanted to bet Grillo to win. I did. Instead, I bet Bubba Watson with that slot. And instead, I'm betting Grillo to beat Bobby Mack head-to-head. Both had very kind Open Championships last week, but I believe Grillo and his prowess for iron play and ball striking is exactly the recipe for this course. Bobby Mack with that T10 at the Open scores the exemption into this event. Happy to be here. PGA Tour, happy to rack up as many PGA Tour starts. And don't get me wrong, long-term ceiling, I'm all about Bobby Mack, but for 4 days in Minnesota, I'm taking Grillo over B-Mac. And that was minus 115 for Grillo. And I am silly enough, plus 125. Tony Finau going head-to-head versus the favorite of this event, Dustin Johnson. Quietly again, with little to no quality form to speak of. Tony Finau puts up a very quality result in a major championship. Dustin Johnson did as well, but I'm here to take my plus 125 with Tony Finau. DJ, I'm not like reading. Like, I'm going to say DJ shot like an 80 here and withdrew, but I don't even really care about that. Finau was in the final group Sunday and laid a total leg to Michael Thompson. But if he does that again, we're going to cash this bet. Tony Finau plus 125 over Dustin Johnson tournament head-to-head. I am Geoff Fienberg. Thank you again for taking in my PGA Tour content at oddschecker.com/US. We'll be back next week, maybe even a little earlier than you might anticipate. So subscribe to this channel so they drop right into your feed. Rick Gehman and I, Olympics. People, so many different takes on Olympic golf. Listen, this golf season is long. This golf season is exhausting. So any kind of change of pace, I'm not going to besmirch one bit. The field as a power stacked at the top, and then there's a lot of names getting glad-handed from World Tour status. If you're a big golf fan, you might understand this comparison. To me, in terms of a field, I'm sort of seeing it like the WGC event that would be held in China in non-COVID situations. I almost like to joke it's winter's major because it's the biggest golf event at times in the winter because we do get a lot of big names, a small handful of them, much like this event we'll see next week in Tokyo for the Olympics. But the majority of the field feels like it's a bunch of World Tour names that I've, practically never heard of that have been glad-handed spots in a tournament. That being said, so many big names. Looking forward to breaking it down. Olympic golf, Rick Gehman and I. Keep an eye, sub to this feed because that's going to drop earlier than you think. I'm Geoff Fienberg. We'll see you next week talking Olympics.